So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once it slips, however, you're vulnerable and will be attacked on all sides. Make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputations, then stand aside, let public opinion hang them. Okay? So, as you can also appreciate, we're reading the whole law, all right? Sometimes people want to, cherry pick shit, but as I said, be careful how you tint some of these laws, because even to me, I was like, oh, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes. Oh man, we're destroying people. But sometimes you can have a virtuous enemy. And the main reason I wanted to read this one is because reputation in this hyper-connected age, in this cancel culture age, reputation is important because people will judge you based on what they've heard about you. And unfortunately, that can work out in many ways. You can have somebody who actually maybe their actions have demonstrated that they are that they're a predatory individual. So let's take some of these ex-Hollywood execs, right? On paper, their reputation is, Oscar winner, you know what I mean? Studio head, this, that, and third. Somebody could hype them up based on their reputation, but then you peek behind the curtain and you're like, oh, damn, rapist. Oh, damn, you know what I'm saying? Just all these other things, pedophile, thief, cheat, whatever it is. And it's like, damn. So which one is actually their reputation, right? Obviously, there's one that has preceded them, and that's the one of grandeur and, illustrious accomplishments. But how did that become the case? What was preventing the other aspect of their life to come forward? And so there's like another law in here that talks about your actions, preceding and not, don't win arguments, but your actions. And so as an individual, depending on what somebody's goal is in life, right, they may do a lot of damage control where they create an illusion of who they are. And then that is what their reputation becomes to those who don't actually have that proximity to really know what's going on with this individual. And so as a unique individual, you have to make a decision on, do you want your reputation to be genuine in the sense of it's a representation of how you actually are? Or do you put all this time into creating a persona that can then be the front man for what you're actually trying to do or what you're actually about? And I think it's a not a precarious situation, but living in a time where some people their reputation is diminished because they are authentic to who it is they want to be. Concrete example, if somebody gets on their platform and they speak about a certain topic, and it's one of those topics where it's like A is the right answer, B is the wrong answer, when it's not that black and white, but they talk about, their truth is B, then it's like you go ahead, you signing up for potentially having your reputation damaged, depending on whose opinion you value. Go ahead, like you finna jump in.
No, I mean, I was just gonna say, I think it's telling that, there's definitely a time and place to lean 100% authentic and I really think living authentically is quite important. It doesn't mean you have to speak into existence literally everything that goes on in your mind. I think that there's many situations where A is a quote unquote right answer because the powers that be would like you to say A, and if you don't get in line, they'll make sure that you don't make it to having the power to then be able to choose what the right answer is. But that being said, I don't think that I think we can't get it twisted that you have to also word vomit everything that you have thoughts on. There's many things that we haven't talked about on this podcast yet. There's many things that people in the world don't know our views on, don't know many people's views on. There's actually even more so, and I think this is why individuals that have, these illustrious accomplishments can not necessarily get away with, but pull the bag over somebody's head, is because they're looked at in such a different light. I mean, I don't know the type of person that Leonardo DiCaprio is, but I do know that he's a hell of an actor. And so I do know that his identity is tied with him being a hell of an actor.
Yeah.
He's talked about climate change. He's talked about this, that, and the other. But something could come out one day about him being involved in something that does not behoove his continued career, and it could come tumbling down. But people would be probably a lot less likely to believe that it was a case, because how could X person do ABC while they're also doing da 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 da, and they're this good of a person, and they give this much to charity that's owned by this other person that started the charity so that they could have the money, and then also has all these accomplishments that are well accepted in society. I mean, I think that it's interesting. Reputation is a funny thing, because your reputation and your character can be one and the same. Your reputation and your character could be absolutely the furthest things removed in this life. You could also have your reputation ruined based on a soundbite, but your character stand true. Your character could be shit, but your reputation is solid, squeaky clean, platinum. Looks like you're out here saving the world, and you could be taking every single dollar and just buying mansions, buying 4 mansions in 2021 with money that you raised in 2020, claiming to be the savior to a group that identifies under a tenant. So, I mean, that could be happening either way, left, right, and sideways. But it is, I mean, again, it's thinking for yourself here, you know?
Straight up.
There's oftentimes a big difference between character and reputation. Yeah. And I think that needs to be stated, because we like to kind of, reputation is extremely important. Absolutely. Sometimes you're going to have to kill reputation to preserve character, though.
No, thank you. And that's the word I was struggling to find to kind of make that distinction. That's why I use that example of the studio exec. Is like their character's trash, but the reputation is that buffer for their poor character. And so it's like, don't get too hype on somebody's reputation being great. But, on the opposite, if you hear something negative about somebody's reputation, ultimately you have to make that decision. And typically you can only really make that best decision with direct experience. Because to your point, sometimes people's reputation go out the window because their character is actually so solid, and then there's a whole, force that can bring their reputation down. Same way a whole force can bring somebody's reputation up, and then we call it PR.
Yep.
So it's like so many facets to how the human mind operates and how societies ultimately play themselves out based on this whole dynamic of perception and illusion versus reality versus hierarchy. And it's fascinating shit, man. It's fascinating, dude. And we're just out here living, trying to do our best to contribute something for y'all, for the people to chew on and think about if you've never realized there's a distinction, for instance, between reputation and character.
There is. I think we like to, the word I'm looking for, when you melt down ore, what is that called? Like gold ore, bronze
distill?
Ore.
Melt down ore, I don't know if you're talking about alchemy, when people try to make gold, but...
Yeah, melting down. There's I forget what that process is called, but regardless, we have tried to throw character and reputation into the same place and we look at them as having the same melting point. We look at them as being one and the same. We use them interchangeably, and I think that's not good, because it's a big vulnerability. If we start associating reputation and character, which I think we're already doing, if they're synonymous, if they're supposed to be synonymous and they're accepted, like widely accepted as synonymous, it allows individuals to get to a high level of power with a shitty character, and adversely, it also forces people into the place where they could have amazing character, but because there's another group of individuals, or there's a group of power, or there's organizations that have the reputation, they can also just smack somebody and rip out the reputation. And because now we're associating their character with the reputation, if their reputation gets ripped out, well, then their character must be shit, because why would anyone go after anybody that was evangelizing truth?